In this nitty-gritty basics Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg using the 2024 National Mah Jongg League card. If you have not tried playing at I Love Mahj before, when you do your trial, use MAHJLIFE in caps. I'm not sure if that matters, but use caps just in case. That will be the promo code that'll give you an extra week for free. I am an affiliate partner there, so I will get a small commission if you decide to get a subscription. It's a wonderful platform. They have intelligent robots and also an exercise room with all kinds of wonderful skill builders. So I highly recommend it if you're new to the game or if you're an intermediate player as well. Even advanced players enjoy playing here because of those intelligent robots. And you can play with friends, you can play with strangers as well. So give it a try. And if you have any questions, let me know. And of course, you can always reach out to the team at I Love Mahj. They're very responsive. As a matter of fact, I just sent an email because I forgot to do this last week to ask them about why they use tournament scoring here. I don't know why that is. So I look forward to getting that email so I can share with you their reasoning behind that. Typically, when you win, you're paid based on how you win the game. If you win by self-pick, you're paid double the value of the hand. And if you win by discard, the discarder pays double, and the other two players pay the value of the hand. Also, on the card is the base value of each hand, and it is directly related to the difficulty of the hand. If you play a hand that can use jokers, but when you declare Mahjong, it has no jokers, the base value doubles. So let's say, for example, you're playing the concealed hand under a consecutive run, and you have no jokers. You can use jokers because there are pungs in there. But in the end, when you declare Mahjong, you have no jokers. The base value doubles, so that will be a 60-point hand. If you win by self-pick, everybody pays 60. And if you win by discard, the discarder pays 60. No, let's see, 60, they pay 120. And then the other players pay 60. So I might have misspoke. The base value doubles, so 60 points with no jokers. If you win by self-pick, everybody pays 120. Sorry about that, if that was a bit confusing. But I'll put a link to a wiki article on scoring so that you can review it just for clarity and reference. So that'll be in the video description below. Today, we're going to look at the top 10 complex rules. And then we'll do gameplay with commentary with the time remaining. So whether or not you have the rule book, which is called Mahjong Made Easy, this is a publication that is written by the League for social gaming. And in there is the rules of the game, but they're not all written in such a way that is intuitive. Let's just say it that way. And that's one reason why I have the wiki on MAHJLIFE, because in many cases, just words from somebody else may bring clarity. And that's what I've attempted to do with my commentary on wiki articles when it has to do with rulings from Mahjong Made Easy or bulletins. So let's see. Oh, and I'll put a link too to this presentation. It's actually going to be in the form of a wiki article, but the content is the same. Top 10 complex rules demystified. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But before I do that, I need to say welcome. We have a new channel member, and she apparently has decided to remain anonymous. YouTube user, and any of you other users who have decided to join as a channel member, thank you so much for supporting MAHJLIFE. Okay, so I got my crazy dance out of the way. You, of course, did not see that, thankfully, but that song always makes me want to dance, gets my energy going. All right, let's go ahead and do some screen sharing, and we'll get through this presentation, and then we'll do gameplay with commentary. How's everybody doing? I want to say also thank you, moderators, for helping monitor chat. This is a nitty-gritty format, so we're going to keep the socialization to nil. If you like socializing, join us on Friday nights. That's when we hang out and we chit-chat and play Mahjong, just casually. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. Now, these are what I think are the most complex rules. If you think a ruling is complex that is not in here, send me an email, because I'll consider replacing one of these rulings that maybe is not as complex as people might think, but these are the ones that I think are complex. So you'll have to let me know what you think. And should we use this layout? There's going to be a lot of text. Let's see here. Oops, not that one. I just want to see. It's the same size. Oh, not that one. Oh, okay, here we go. Shall we do this one right here or this one? I guess we'll do this one. Okay, so top 10 complex rules demystified. Here we go. You ready? Number 10, we're going to go in descending order to the most complex. When multiple players want to pass blind. So the idea here is that you're going to use an IOU system. And this, by the way, was the idea of Tom Sloper at Sloperama. And the league adopted it. I believe it's even in, yeah, it is. It's in Mahjong Made Easy on page 13. So they adopted his recommendation with an IOU system. So what happens is whoever has the most tiles to pass starts. So let's say, in this case, we have North issues an IOU to East, and they place 2 tiles on the table towards East. So they say IOU 1. They have the most. So East takes 1 tile and passes blind so they can pass 3, because they wanted to pass 2 also. So East takes 1 from North. North issued the IOU for 1. So then East can pass 3 because they wanted to pass only 2. And then South takes 1 blind because they also want to pass 2. So they take 1 blind from their incoming pass from East so they can pass 3 to West. And then they also want to pass 2 blind. So they take their incoming tile from South and pass 3 to North. When North gets those 3 tiles, they take 1 of them and they fulfill their IOU to East. So East gets their 3rd tile at the end. That's the IOU system. And it can get a little bit complicated. Just go slow and it'll make sense when you do it. As a matter of fact, this would be a really fun activity to just do as practice. So if you do this the next time you play, just try it out and see what happens. I think it'd be a fun exercise. All right, now next one. Mistakes during the Charleston. A game does not officially begin until East discards their 14th tile. So if there's an issue during the Charleston that affects the integrity of the game, all the tiles should be thrown in and a new game should be restarted. So a lot of times what will happen during the Charleston, especially if there are new people or if you play with a group that is very social and things get messed up. For example, you might forget what pass you're on and do 3 or 2 left, second lefts, let's say. You might do an extra pass in there. That's all right. It's a social game. Just make it right, make it fair, and you'll be fine. Another thing that can happen is somebody, people are talking and somebody takes an incoming pass and racks it without passing to the right. They're going to have way too many tiles. So basically what they should do is either take the 3 they just got and put them back, and then pass, and then take the pass. Or if they already mush things around, maybe have someone pick 3 randomly and have those be the pass. I've done that before. And that way you don't have to throw everything in and start over. But the ruling is, if the mistake affects the integrity of the game or some kind of unfairness, everyone should throw in their tiles. There's one other exception here, and that is when North, the player to the left of East, forgets to pick their last tile. They're going to be short a tile. It is in the rules that they are allowed to pick their 13th tile. So you don't have to, after the deal, East takes 1 and 3, and then the other players take 1, 1, 1. Sometimes North will get involved with their own hand and they'll forget to take the 1. There's an exception there. As long as East has not discarded, they can take that final 1. And incidentally, because the game hasn't officially started, nobody can be disqualified during the Charleston. If the integrity of the game is ruined, everybody has to throw in their tiles and you start over. Or you try to fix it and make it fair for everybody. So everybody would be in agreement on how to correct the mistake. All right, next. Modifying an exposure. When a player calls a discard to make an exposure, they must use the discard if they place it on the flat part of their rack, or if they expose tiles from their hand. There's not a ruling that dictates the process. So you can either place the discarded tile on the flat part of your rack, or you can expose tiles and then add the discard to your exposure. Either way is fine, but either one of those commits a player to the exposure. They're allowed to make changes to the exposure, and it can only be the number of tiles used or if a joker is used. I need to edit this because at one time the league said that you can change the suits, but now they're saying you can't. And that was recent. So I need to edit this. The suits, that doesn't apply. It's the number of tiles or joker use that can be changed. And that is done if a joker has not been exchanged or if they have not yet discarded. So the modification has to happen before any subsequent transaction. So this is a little bit complicated, and I need to remember to remove the word suits. As a matter of fact, let me just write that down super quick. Hold on. Okay, so this is number 8, remove suits, because they changed their mind, which I guess is their prerogative. All right, here we go. Next, jokers eligible for exchange. When a player has a hand that is no longer viable or is invalid in some way, they should be disqualified. Sometimes the other players choose to disqualify that player so they can exchange jokers in an exposure. Actually, this one is a boo-boo too, because if a player can be disqualified, players can choose to not disqualify them so they have access to the joker that is in an invalid exposure. Until a hand has been DQ'd, disqualified, jokers are available for exchange. So if everybody stays quiet on the matter, those jokers are available. It's a bit of an exploit, though, I must say. If a player's hand is invalid, or maybe an exposure is invalid, like they have 2 exposures that don't correspond to a hand on the card, and a player disqualifies them, the player with that hand concedes, and any jokers in the invalid exposure or exposures have to be put back in the rack and are not eligible for exchange. So let's say someone makes a second exposure that would not make those 2 exposures compatible to a hand on the card, and the second one has a joker in it, the first one has a joker in it, the first one is valid because it can be used with any hand. The second one is what made the hand invalid. That is the exposure that goes back in the rack. The other one stays up, and that joker is available for exchange. Also, if it's determined that this player has been attempting a concealed hand, all the tiles go back in the rack, and none of the jokers are available for exchange. Incidentally, if anyone has questions along the way, please put them in caps in chat. Okay, next, reasons to disqualify another player. All players should be mindful of their actions because if mistakes are made, they can be disqualified from the game. Here are the reasons that can cause a player to be disqualified. Okay, let's see, number 7, why players may not disqualify. Number 6, first bullet. I have to tweak this presentation here. All right, so here's the first reason. They made an exposure for a concealed hand. And normally you're not going to know that until the second exposure, or if they say something. If they say something like, oh crap, I'm playing a concealed hand, and they have one exposure, they outed themselves, and the other players shouldn't declare that or disqualify that player. Thank you, Terry. Okay, so if a player says, oh shoot, I'm playing a concealed hand, and they have one exposure, they shouldn't be disqualified for that because they made a mistake, but they can rectify it. They can use that one exposure for probably any hand on the card other than the concealed one because they're committed to an exposable hand. So they should just keep playing and make that exposure work with a different hand. But if they have exposures that clearly indicate that they're playing a concealed hand, they should concede. And then they stop playing and the game continues without them. Also, an exposed hand that's not on the card or incompatible exposures, that would be a reason to disqualify a player. A hand that is impossible to complete. So for example, let's say they have 3 exposures that indicate a particular hand where everybody knows they need a pair, and somebody just exposed a pure pung using their pair tile. They know that hand cannot be completed. So that would be a reason to disqualify somebody. And during the disqualification process, if a player concedes, then they just wait it out and let the game play on without them. But if they contest, the game continues to the end, and then the player who disqualified them and the player who contested, only those two debate the problem, and whoever is wrong pays the other 50 points or cents. Okay, next, joker exchange before a turn begins. When a player has an opportunity to do a joker exchange, sometimes their emotions can get the best of them, and they may be so excited about that joker exchange that they ask for it before they officially start their turn. Their turn does not start until they either claim a discard and complete an exposure that then gets locked in with the next transaction, the joker exchange, or they pick a tile from the wall and rack it. That is when your turn is officially started. So if you try to do a joker exchange before one of those two things, you risk being disqualified. Also, if you have the wrong number of tiles, and incidentally, never ever disclose that you are in a position of being disqualified. You don't want to divulge that. Other players are responsible for doing that. So if you have the wrong number of tiles, just keep quiet, zip it, and keep playing defensively. You cannot disqualify yourself for any reason. That is the responsibility of the other players. If you pick out a turn, you could be disqualified. If you pick and rack from the wrong wall, you could be disqualified. And if you pick and rack from the wrong end of the wall, you could be disqualified. So these are all the reasons for disqualification. Let me see. I see here, Lori, what happens to the tiles on the slope of the DQ'd player? They stay concealed. So any exposure that is invalid goes back with the concealed tiles. Only exposures that are valid or exposures made prior to being disqualified remain on the flat part of the rack. So Wes is saying, is that 50 points in addition to paying the winner? Yes, that is correct. So let's say during the game, somebody says you're disqualified because you can't complete your hand. And I say, no, there's another hand I could be playing. And at the end of the game, let's say that player discarded the winning tile for somebody else. Then at the end of the game, I prove that I was playing a viable hand. That player who discarded the winning tile has to pay me, the player who contested the disqualification. They pay me 50 points or cents, and they pay the winner double the value of their hand because they got a penalty for throwing the discard. So it can be costly. And if you don't know the card very well, you might wait until you learn the card better before you try to disqualify a player. I actually did that, I think, the second week of the new card, and I didn't know the hands very well. So even advanced players can be wrong. So just make sure that you look at the card and you make sure that your exposures are correct, the shape of the hand, the pattern that you're focused on, make sure that is all matching the card, and make sure that you're playing an exposable hand when you claim your first discard. Those are the ways to avoid being disqualified. All right. Thank you for the questions. I was hoping this would be interactive, so keep it coming. All right, now here we go. Oops, ramifications for misusing, what happened? Okay, ramifications for misusing the wall. When a player pushes out of the wrong wall, there could be penalties involved. If the wrong wall is pushed out and somebody notices it, the player can put the wall back without penalty, and the correct wall should be pushed out. If the wrong wall is pushed out and someone declares Mahjong, when that wall is in play, the player who pushed out that wall pays for the table. And of course, that's if somebody notices. If nobody notices, then you just pay as normal. If the wrong wall is pushed out and someone notices later in the game, all the tiles are thrown in and a new game begins. I think this one is complicated. Wrong wall. Just make sure you're pushing out the right wall. It's in counterclockwise order or to the left in order, even if a player is missing. If you're playing with 3 people, you do not skip the missing player. The walls are pushed out in turn going to the left. Or I'm sorry, that's clockwise. I apologize. Clockwise order to the left, this way, clockwise order. All right, ramifications for misusing the wall again. When a player picks from the wrong wall, there could be penalties. So there's pushing out the wrong wall, and then there's picking from the wrong wall. If a player picks a tile from the wrong wall and it's noticed right away, they should be disqualified. And the picked tile stays with the hand. The game continues until the tiles are depleted from that wall, and the game resumes with the correct wall. Now, if a player picks from the wrong wall or wrong end of the wall, and they are discarding the winning tile for another player. The player who picked from the wrong end of the wall pays for the table. And finally, if more than one player picked from the wrong end of the wall, the tiles are thrown in and a new game begins. Okay, next, ramifications for a misnamed discard. If a player misnames a discarded tile and somebody mentions it, the discarder must name the tile correctly and there's no penalty. If a player misnames a discarded tile and another player claims it and makes an incorrect exposure, the player making the incorrect exposure should be disqualified by another player. So first of all, you need to be careful when you're naming a discard, and a discard cannot be claimed until it is correctly named. And also, when you claim a discard to make an exposure, you've got to make sure that your exposure is correct, using the right tile. If a player misnames a discarded tile and another player declares Mahjong, the discarder must pay the winner 4 times the value of the hand. So just be very careful when you're naming discards. Otherwise, you could be paying a penalty. Ramifications for a misnamed discard. I think this is the last one. If a player misnames a discarded tile and 2 players declare Mahjong, 1 on the misnamed tile and 1 for the actual tile, the player who needs the actual tile gets the Mahjong. The actual tile, that's the one who actually gets the Mahjong. There are no, in American Mah Jongg, you cannot have 2, there's no tie. You cannot have 2 winners. Window of opportunity for the last discard. Any player can claim the last discard until the next player in line picks and racks or discards. It's best practice to pick and rack, but some people don't. They'll just pick a tile and then discard it and skip the racking altogether. That's okay. It's not good technique, because the window of opportunity is open until they say their discard. Okay, I have to do something really quick. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. All right, now, sometimes a player picks a tile from the wall that can be used to exchange a joker and they don't rack it. In this case, asking for the exchange will also close the window of opportunity. So it's kind of a 2-parter here. Any questions on this one? The window of opportunity closes when a player racks a picked tile from the wall or they ask to do a joker exchange. Those 2 things will close the window of opportunity. Okay, next, Mahjong in error and next steps. If a player declares Mahjong in error and no one has exposed tiles, the game continues as normal. If a player declares Mahjong in error and exposes any of their tiles, they are disqualified. The newly exposed tiles should be put back into the slope part of their rack. Any previous exposures stay out. Valid exposures, I should say, because if any of those are invalid, like let's say they're playing a concealed hand, those tiles have to go back into the slope part of the rack. Also, if anybody threw in their hand thinking that they have a valid mahjong, then they're also disqualified. There's no mulligan. They can't pull their tiles back in. And also, if a wall is destroyed, that's it. The game is over. If someone declares mahjong in air and another player destroys a wall, I wonder what the rule is there, because if any player destroys a wall, they have to pay the remaining players the lowest value of the card, I believe. That might even be in here. Okay, so we have a storm brewing here. Thunder just went off. Let me turn on my light real quick here. A little bit lighter. Hopefully we won't lose electricity here. All right, here we go. Next. Here are some simultaneous situations and next steps. This is the number one. I see this in social media, primarily Facebook, every day, probably, at least a couple times a week. This comes up so many times, and it's also on the back of the card, written in such a way that has caused confusion. So we're going to talk about this for a few minutes. If a player picks a tile from the wall and they rack it at the exact same time as another player, calls for the discard. They have to defer to the caller. If it is an exact tie, so let's say maybe the caller or the caller is looking at their card and they maybe weren't paying attention, and the other player picked and racked right at the same time. They came to awareness and said call. At the moment of the rack, the tile has to go back to the wall and the caller gets the tile. And incidentally, that tile that was racked, if it was seen, it doesn't matter. It's got to go right back where it was. You cannot bury a tile somewhere else in the wall. It goes right back where it was. All right, so that's the first situation. The next one would be when multiple players want the same discard for the same reason. The player next in turn gets the tile unless the other player has also exposed tiles during the call. So, for example, two players say call, and at the same time, the second player says call and exposes tiles at the same time, like they're super fast. Then the player who also exposes tiles will get the tile. That's the way the rule is written and interpreted by most people. But that is not the intent of the rule. I'm going to save this part of the conversation. Let's go to the next one here. Oh, no, that was it. Okay. So this rule was intended to protect the player who's paying attention in the game. If the player next in line delays a response or call for a discard because they're not paying attention, and another player claims a discard and makes an exposure that then wakes up this player next in line, and they say, oh, I wanted that tile, it's too late. They should have been paying attention. But the ruling is not to foster aggressive play. The league did not intend for call expose to be a race. That's not the intention of the rule. So anybody who rushes the play by exposing tiles is exhibiting poor sportsmanship. That's the bottom line. And incidentally, this ruling, the way it's written on the back of the card, number 5 and 6, when they talk about exposed tiles, they're referring to newly exposed tiles during the call for that discard, not previous exposures. Any exposures that pre-exist on the rack have nothing to do with the simultaneous situation. I hope that helps. We're going to go into the bonuses now. The league created rules and guidelines to foster fair play for social games. This is why there are some of these rules and guidelines without penalties to the erring player. So we're going to look at shoulds first. There are two at the moment, I believe. First, assist with the winning hand validation. After Mahjong is declared, the tiles should be arranged to show the hand on the card. So it should be arranged in such a way that fits the description on the card. This is so that the hand can be validated by other players. Some people think that by not rearranging the tiles is some kind of strategy, which is it's a false equivalent, I guess you could say. I'm not sure if I'm using that word right, but that has nothing to do with strategy. The game's over. If someone has Mahjong, the game is over. There's no strategy left. The game's over. So rearranging your exposures to match the card, that is good sportsmanship. And it's part of the game. You got to facilitate the validation of the hand. You want to make it quick and easy so you can get to the next game. Why create confusion by not arranging your tiles to help your opponents validate the hand? To me, it makes no sense. Also, when a player has multiple exposures on the rack, it's courteous to leave a space in between exposures, especially if there are jokers involved, because sometimes the jokers get mushed up and you don't know which exposure the joker goes with. If you can, the joker should go in between natural tiles so that people know where that joker belongs. Okay, we're going to keep going here. So, number 2, respect everyone's personal space. It is the responsibility of each player to ensure their exposures are correct. For this reason, it's recommended, this would be a should, that players never touch another player's tiles exposed or concealed. For example, when a player has a natural tile that can replace a joker in an exposure on someone else's rack, they should do that hand to hand, not reach into their rack and do it self-serve. So it's best to do a hand-to-hand exchange. Those are the 2 shoulds. Let's talk about the, and incidentally, there are no penalties for those. So now we're going to look at the musts. Complete your pass before accepting new tiles. This is clearly during the Charleston, and the game doesn't start until East discards their first tile. So the Charleston is pre-game. A player must complete their pass before accepting a pass from another player. And I think we talked about that briefly in one of the complex rules, one of the first ones, where maybe a new player forgets to pass. There are a couple ways you can fix that, or everyone throws in their tiles and you start over, whatever the group decides. Next, refrain from peeking at a blind pass. On the first left and last right, players can pass blind. Players may take 1, 2, or all 3 of the tiles from their incoming pass and give those to another player without looking. That's why it's called a blind pass. You're not supposed to look. You're not supposed to peek. You must not peek, but there's no penalty if it happens. Number 3, keep jokers during the Charleston. A joker may never be passed during the Charleston. If it is, it must be given back. And if a joker is passed, the player who passed it breaks a rule, and the player who accepts it breaks the rule. So there are 2 rule breakers there, and those 2 players will know that they broke the rules. Whether or not something is said is another thing, but because passing jokers is against the rules, the joker should be given back to the other player. All right, next. Let's see, where are we here? Here, verify a discard before making an exposure. If a misnamed tile is called, resulting in an invalid exposure. The calling player must be disqualified, and there is no penalty to the discarder for the incorrectly named tile. A lot of people feel a certain way about this. They basically disagree because the player who made the mistake was the player who named the tile incorrectly, but the onus is on the calling player, not the discarding player. So always look and listen and make sure you're putting the right tile on your rack before you expose any tiles. Wes is asking, during the Charleston, should quicker players who pass to each wait to rack until all 4 players have passed to each other? Yes, that would be, that's not a rule, it's a courtesy. But yes, basically a lot of times what happens is, especially at the second left, there'll be a backup of passes. It can get overwhelming, and it can also create problems. So it is best to wait to pass until everyone has incorporated their last incoming pass. That would be strategy more so than rules at this point. All right, so next, verbalize a call for a discard. When a player wants to claim a discard for an exposure or a mahjong, they must let the other players know by saying call, take, or I want that. Something to that effect. The word must is used. You cannot play this game silently for American Mah Jongg. You must verbalize your interest in a discarded tile, but there's no penalty for it. Okay, number 6, be seen and not heard after disqualification. A player who's been disqualified must remain silent for the remainder of that hand. They cannot get involved in the hand. Now, you can socialize, but you just cannot say anything about the game. Any mistakes being made, anything someone should or should not be playing, maybe comment on someone's exposures or someone has a quint, what have you. The disqualified player is a visitor for that game, so don't speak about the game. And incidentally, this also applies to a bettor. The bettor is not playing the game at the table. They're an observer, so they also are supposed to stay silent. And incidentally, this might actually be in here, so I may be jumping ahead, but if just in case it's not in here, if a bettor actually gets involved in the game, they'll lose their bet, and that is the rule. So the bettor is supposed to stay quiet. In some situations, a bettor might try to advise the player that they've bet on. Well, that is a conflict of interest. So the bettor or a disqualified player must not speak about the game in play. They can socialize, but they must not get involved in the actual game. There's a penalty to the bettor because they lose their bet, but in the case of a disqualified player, they're already disqualified. So there's nothing more that can be done there. All right, next, never disqualify yourself from the game. If a player has a hand that is no longer viable or is invalid in some way, the player, oops, I have a typo in there. Musts, oh my goodness, number 7, M-U-S-T-Z. That is not a word. Okay, so if a player has a hand that is no longer viable or is invalid, the player should not disqualify themselves. It is the responsibility of the other players to disqualify another player, and the disqualification must be proven based on the tiles that are visible. So let's say, for example, you have a pair in your hand, and you know that another player needs one of those tiles, and one of those tiles has been discarded. So you know they cannot win their hand because you've got a pair and one of the tiles has been discarded. You cannot disqualify them from the game because the tiles that you would use to prove it are in your hand. That doesn't work. They have to be visible on the table in discards or exposures. Those are the variables you can use to disqualify a player if they have an inviolable hand. You can find all these rules in my wiki. You can use keywords to search for any rulings, and you'll find the source to the league ruling, whether it's in Mahjong Made Easy or a bulletin or even a letter or call from the league. So please use this wiki. It is free, on demand, user-friendly at MAHJLIFE.com. Okay, we're going to play now. Anybody have any other questions about rules? Is there anything that I missed? Does anybody have any rules that are confusing to them? And we can talk about it before we get to playing. I'll wait just a minute to give you time to do that. Let me know if there's any rulings that you want to talk about. Oh, thank you, Wes. I was just trying to fix these quick problems that I ran across when sometimes other players choose not to disqualify the player. Okay, and then number 8. And now this will be ready for the next time. There we go. All right, all good. Okay, that's going to do it. So now we're going to play Mahjong at I Love Mahj. Here we go. We're just going to go straight to the bots. If you're new to I Love Mahj, this is where the exercise room is. Look at all these exercises they have here. Make a hand. You can go through in sequential order or random order and just make every hand on the card. Charleston practice is fantastic. You can focus just on the Charleston. They prompt you on what hand is that. This is where you see a couple of exposures and you try to figure out what hand it is. There's a game kind of like Wordle that they call MAHJLIFE. And then there's a new one called Heavenly Hands. And you got to figure out what hand it is. So those are all excellent exercises. So I invite you to check those out. We're going to play with the robots. Here. Let me just check email and see if Julie answered. Let's see here. No, not yet. Okay. So let's see, what do we have to work with for the first one? We have multiples, evens. Oh my goodness, look at this. South, 4, 5, 6 in BAMs, pair 4. We have 3, 5, 6, 8, pair 8. 1, 2, 5 in dots, pair 2. So I would play evens, and I wouldn't pick a hand. I would hold 4, 5, 6, I think, because we could maybe play something consecutive with 4, 5, 6. We don't have a good clear hand to play in evens yet. We have a gap. We could maybe try for the second hand down under evens, 2, 4 dot, 4, 6 BAM, 8 crack Kong, but we have no 4 dot. That would be a gap. And that's why I have a plan B with consecutive run, maybe 4, 5, 6 of some kind. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Okay, so we did get an 8. Here's a 7. And we have a 2. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 and 1 suit there. But we also have 5, 6, 7, 8. We have a 4 BAM pair. I think we should focus on evens and just keep building it out and see what we can make happen here. I think the 2 dot is going to need to go. I don't want to pass like numbers. I think that's almost as risky as passing a pair. So we have 6, 8 in cracks, 2, 4 in bams. That would point to the first hand in 2 suits. We may be able to play the last hand if we get flowers. I would break up the 2, I think, because I don't want to pass like numbers with 5s. 4, 5, 5, 6, yeah. 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think I would focus on that second hand from the bottom under like number, under consecutive run. 4, 5 bam, 6 crack, 7 crack. That is a hand in there, but we would have to break up 2, 4, 6, 8 in one suit. I think that is stronger than consecutive at the moment. There's a 7. Of course we got a 7. Okay, so let's pass the red, a 2, and the, let's see, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. We have 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 2, 4, 6, 8 hand, second one down has a gap. No 4 dot, or let's see, we gave up the 2, so we're not focused on that one. The concealed hand, we need flowers. So if this were me, I would switch to consecutive run, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I would probably do here is let the 2 go with a 3 dot and just see what happens here. Let's see here. Let's see. Yes, I think that's what I would do here. We got an 8 crack. Here's a 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, 8. I would probably let this 8 bam go. We have a 9. Here's 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 5 over here. So we have 2 through 9, a lot of tiles. We clearly don't need the 9, really. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 crack pung. We have a 2, 4 bam, 6, 8 crack, first hand, no gaps, big multiple, and a pair. That's probably what I would focus on. So let's let the 3 bam go here. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, let's let the 3 go. At least there's a little number in there. Okay, now there's a 2, 4, 6, 5. Wow. Okay, we have 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 2, 4 bam, 6, 8 crack. 3 multiples, 1, 2, 3. Let's see. We also have 5, 6, 7, 8. I think the 5 crack can go. We're in between. We have to pick a hand because we're doing second right. We could pass blind, but I don't think I would. Let's see. So here's 2, 4, 6, 8. The 7 maybe could go. 2, 4, 6, 8. Pung, pung, Kong 6, Kong 8. Or we could do 5, 6, 7, 8. We have the exact same potential. I think with 1 tile here, I would just pass 1. Okay, and then I would ask for 1 because we're smack dab in the middle. And I would just see what comes first. So let's discard. That was kind of a hard one. So whatever comes first, and we need to build on the 6 or the 7. Why? I did do blind. I only passed 1 tile. So I passed 2 blind. I only passed 1. I passed 2 blind. Why didn't you do a blind pass? I passed 2 blind. Because I want to keep my options open. We're exact in the middle of 2, 4, 6, 8 or 4, 5, 6, 7. And I want to see what comes in with the 6 or the 7, because those are both weak. If one of those had been paired up, then I would have taken it. And here I would not keep that. When you said you wouldn't, I guess I would have to watch the repost, because I don't recall when I said I wouldn't pass blind, because I did pass blind. So maybe I misspoke or just didn't speak. I didn't enunciate correctly. I don't know, but I'll rewatch that and comment after the live stream and let you know. I'll just remember that it's at about the top of the hour nearly. Or let's see, is this the first hand? Okay, we have a 3. Oh my goodness, look at that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that 3 is not helpful. Okay, we're gonna ignore that. Okay, now this is where we need to make a choice, and I would just take it. We have a player to the right who has a Kong of 4s, so they could be playing like numbers, they could be playing evens. So I would go ahead and focus on 5, 6, 7, 8 and call it for a pump. So then that means we don't need the 6 crack, and we're doing 5, 6 bam, 7, 8. Here's the 4 bam. We're going to ignore it. Okay, nobody wanted that, so now we can discard those. And the 2 would be joker bait. All right, so let's see how this goes. So we really just delayed the inevitable. I don't think there's a right or wrong when you're in between 2 in the final right. Okay, we got a keeper. So what we need in here is that 7 crack. So they're not playing like numbers over there. We got a keeper. Okay, so we are looking for a 7 crack. Oh, there it is. Oh, darn. All right, now we're gonna need 3 jokers. Shoot. Oh my goodness, look at that. 3 jokers. Oh my goodness, that is really, really risky. Okay, now I want flowers. Okay, flower. Oh. Oh, darn. Okay, so 2 jokers up for grabs. Oh. No. Okay, this player across from us, they're doing 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bam went out and they didn't take it. So they'll need a joker. Oh, darn. That didn't give us a joker opportunity, so we'll let that go. There's a joker. Okay, we need 2 more now. I would still play to win. We're at 45 tiles remaining. Uh-oh. This 9 bam is going to be risky. Okay, let's see. How many 6 cracks are out? Where are they? I thought here's 1. Okay, let's just see what happens. I'm going to let it go. Okay, I risked it because I just didn't think that they would be ready. 9 bam was discarded earlier and there's a 6 crack out. So I did take the risk with 2 exposures. That was an extreme, that could have had an extreme impact. So it's really not good to discard if someone has 2 exposures and you know what hand they're playing and you get that tile. Very risky. There's a joker up for grabs and we need it. 6 dot. 1 dot is out. 6 dot is out also. Let's see. Let's throw the 6 dot. We're in the end game here. Oh, we got a 6 bam. We don't need that though. We need a 7 crack. Jokers. We need jokers. 4 bam. Nobody wanted 5 crack. I don't see 5 cracks. There's one right there. 2 are out. Okay. This 6 bam should be a safe discard. Okay, so Quint, they're looking for dragons over here to the left. They're playing the dragon, Quint. Okay, well, there it is. Okay, here we go. Next game. Okay, we have, oh, pain. We have jokers, and then we have a widespread. North, green, 3, 5, 7, 8 singles in bams, 9 crack, 4, 6, 8, 9 in dots. We have some 2, 4, 6, 8, but no 2. We do have some 3, 6, 9 in here, or 5 through 9. So I would let the 4 go, the north and the green, and see what develops. We're in between 3, 6, 9 and 5 through 9. There's a 5 and a 6 where we have to make a choice. I'm thinking, let's see here, 3, 6, 9. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 5 through 9. We have more tiles, but it is spread really thin. I think I would play 3, 6, 9 here. 7. Let's see what happens. We got a 3. Okay, so now West 8, 5 can go. We're doing 3, 6, 9 here. We got dragons. There are 2 dragon hands in 3, 6, 9. One uses, oops, we want that. One uses a flower and the other one does not. It's using like numbers with the corresponding dragon. So we would use, let's say, 3 crack, 3 bam. So maybe we can let the 9 dot go. So we do have some potential for the 4th hand down under 3, 6, 9. There's a dragon. So now let's just reassess here. We have a pair of green dragons, a red dragon. The 7 can go, the 8 can go, and probably this 4 can go. We could probably make this a little bit better by letting a 6 dot go. We have like numbers with 3s and dragons. East 1, 1. That's risky. Risky business there. Okay, so we have a 9 bam, 9 dot, a pair of 1s. I would pass fully here. Let's see, 9 bam, 9 crack, 6 crack, 6 dot. We could pass 2 actually because we have equal potential for 3s or 9s, and I would want to maximize development with either one of those. So I would ask for 2 and I would break up the 1. All right, so we have, I'll use the jokers to separate our keepers here. We've got 4 discards and a hand with options. 4th hand down under 3, 6, 9. So 6 cards. We have a 7. Let's let the 1 go. So we have 6, 7, 4, 6, 7, 8. Those are discards. So the shape here is pung, kong, pung, kong. Pung, kong, pung, kong. Like numbers with either 3s or 9s. Okay, 3s out. Kong. Oh, there's a dragon. That's good. We need to Kong there. I would be more inclined to use 9s because we don't know what this player across from us is doing with 3s. They could be playing like numbers with 3s. Oh, there's Joker bait. another 4. Oh my goodness. That's not going to be helpful though, unless we get, let's say, well, no, it's really not. 4 dot, 4 bam are out. These are going to do us no good here. Sometimes joker bait doesn't work out. It's a hit or miss strategy, really. 4s, nobody wants 4s. Okay, we're going to call that. And oops, we're going to Kong. We have a hand with no gaps, but it is weak. We're just waiting for a pair in here to help us with a choice. We can stay flexible until we get that tile. Now here goes a 3. That is one of our option tiles. Okay, so nobody took it, which means maybe those are viable. Let's just stick with it and see what happens. So there's a 3 crack out, and that's it at the moment. Okay, there's our answer. So the 3s can go. So we're going to focus on 9s because we just paired up. Don't need west. Oh, that was a surprise. Okay, so we have news. The first news hand. They're playing 3, 4, 5 mixed suit Kongs across from us, and then 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7 pung pung Kong Kong on the left. Okay, now we have a pair of north, a red dragon, 1 bam, 2, 4, 6, 8 in cracks, pair 8, 2, 3, 5, 8 in dots. So I would focus on the 8 crack and probably play evens or like numbers with 8s. Either way, we don't need the 1, we don't need the 5, and I would probably let the dragon go. Let's see here. There is the dragon though, third hand down. We could keep the dragon. Since we have no south, let's break up the north. Okay, we got an 8. Let's let the north go with a 9 and a 3. Okay, now here's a 6 and a 2. So we have 2 clear discards. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 two ways at the moment. 2, 4, 6, 8. Maybe we could play the first hand under the singles and pairs category. Let's let this dragon go. We have some potential for that first singles and pairs hand. Okay, so here's a 6, 2 6s and a 5. All right, so we have 2, 6, 8, 2, 4, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, a 6 bam and a 5. So what I would do here, this is a tough one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 8, 2, 4. I would keep going. I would pass on the 6 and the 5. Okay, so now it's a matter of passing like numbers at this point. We're playing a pair hand. We have a gap, no flowers, so it would be very risky to pass a 6 here. What we could do is give up, let's say, the 4 to mitigate the risk until we get a flower, or play, maybe switch to 6, 7, 8, or 2, 4, 6, 8 in one suit. I think we should do that since we have a gap. So here now is a 7, 6, 7, 8. Northeast was 6, 7, 8. We don't need these really. That can go. So this is where I would make another choice. I think we're better off with 6, 7, 8 consecutive run than a pair hand with no flowers. We need a pair of flowers. So probably what I would do is focus on the eights. Let's see, we have 6, 7, 8, 6, 8, 2. I would let the 2 crack go in the north. I would pass 2 winds here. That's a bit risky. Here's another 6. North and green can go. So we have 2, 6, 7, 8. Let's let the 6 crack go. All right, we got a 7 and a 5. Well, that worked out nice because now we have a totally different hand, 5 through 8. Second hand on the left from the bottom under consecutive run. And I would pass, let's see, here we have 2, 4, or 2, 6, 8, no 4. We have an 8 crack pair. We have 2 dot pung, but we have 5, 6, 7, 8. I would ask for 2 and break that up and break up the 8. Okay, so this 2 bam would be joker bait. I'll use the west to be kind of a separator. We have 3 discards with joker bait and a hand with no gaps. And that's because we didn't have flowers. Here's 5, 6. Let's let the west go. We'll separate with this 8 crack. We do have 5, 6, 7, 8. And then a pair of 2s. Otherwise, we have all numbers in our range. 8 crack. That 8 crack would be a discard. Here's a 4. So let's let the 8 go. Okay, we're going to use the bams to separate. So you can kind of see our keepers. 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't call for anything right now. We need to pung. So the 5 dot needs to be a pung. The 7 and the 8 need to be kongs. So there's nothing we can do there at the moment. Yeah, that's our tile. There's a joker. Well, look at that. 2, 3. Wow, goodness. 2, 3, 5. Let's just keep it. Okay, 6 bam was discarded and nobody wanted it. We have 5, 6, 7, 5, 6. Let's just let the 4 go for now. One thing I was thinking is maybe we could play the 4th hand down and do 5, 6, 7 double run. But we have no 7. That would be a pung for us. So we're going to let it go. Oh, interesting. There's a 9. Now we could do 5 through 9. Okay, so let's let the 3 dot go. Oh, there's a joker up for grabs. So that 5 bam can go. The 6 bam. Oh, 5, 6, 7. That's what I was kind of hoping for in a way. 2, 6 bams are out, so it's a little bit risky. I think what I would do, because we have a pung of 6s, is let the 9 dot go. Nobody wants the 2. So we'll let the 2 dot go. Oh, there's a keeper. We got a keeper. So these are all discards here to the right. We're at 70 tiles remaining. We have, I'd say we're a contender here. We can finally Kong. We're going to need a joker for our 7 dot. There are 2 jokers up for grabs. Oh, well, that's an interesting tile. We could maybe play the 5th hand down now. 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 dragon. No white dragons are out yet, which is a little bit risky. Oh, 2 jokers up for grabs there. Wow. Okay, so someone got a joker. Agata. Flower. No. Let's see now. That actually might be helpful because we can do 6, 7, 8 flower. 1 suit Kongs, third hand down under consecutive run. We're at 47 tiles remaining. There's a flower up for grabs. I would take it. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, dragon. Let's let the 5 hand go. So we could do that fourth or fifth hand down, or the second hand from the bottom on the left. We're actually closer to that, and we have that joker there. We probably should let this white dragon go. That's our riskiest tile. And we're set for that second hand from the bottom. We don't need that. Let's let the dragon go. Oh, darn. We were ready. Shoot. All right. Well, we got close on that one. Let's play again. Okay, so now we have a pair of fours. I see a lot of 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's some 2, 4, 6, 8, but it is not meshing very well. 3, 4, 5, 6, no gaps. I would focus on consecutive run. Let's see here. 8, 4, no, that's not helpful. Okay, now there's a 3. So I would let these go and focus on consecutive run 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6. We're kind of in between, but we're using a 4 number range around the 4 band. Okay, no keepers. We're focused on the 4 band. There's a 5. Here's a dragon. Okay, so we want to keep going. The 8 can go. We have 3, 4 band, 5, 6 crack. We have 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. I think the dragon should go. Without a 4 crack, the dragon's really not helpful. Or without a bigger run in one suit, that green dragon is not helpful. Okay, so we have 2, 3 crack. Let's see. So maybe really this, let's see, 3, 4 band. Let's let the 2 crack go. We can do 3, 4 of some kind, or 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's some help there. 3, 4, 5, 2 ways. Here's 2, 3, 4. We have like numbers with 4s. So let's see. We'll let the 2 go. Here's 3, 4, 5, double run. Fourth hand down under consecutive run. 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 crack. There's the concealed hand. So we can maybe even do the concealed hand. Either way, we don't need the flower, but I wouldn't pass it. Okay, no keepers. We can pass all these. Okay, no keepers. We'll use the flower to separate here. So those are all keepers. We're in between the fourth hand down and the last hand concealed. We have 4 discards. So I'd say we're a contender probably here. Let's let the dragon go. That's a single. Or we could do 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 concealed. Either way, we're not going to take. Well, there's a 4. So that would work for the concealed hand. The concealed hand is single pair Kong. I'm sorry, the fourth hand down. The concealed hand is pung pung, pung pung pair. We have a pung of 4s. Okay, that would be for our concealed hand. Okay, we got a 5. So now we're better for the fourth hand down. We have an extra 4 dot. We have 2 discards before we have to pick a hand. Oh, flowers. Okay, we have a pair of flowers. I don't think that's going to be helpful without a 4 crack. I suppose we could maybe play like numbers with 5s, but we'd have to throw away a pair and a pung. I'd rather just throw away the flower pair, keep most of our tiles. That 5 dot was a Kong for us. So let's see if we let one of these go at about 60 tiles. Maybe we can get a joker out of that. That's our other tile. I'm thinking maybe we should switch to the concealed hand at this point. There's a 5 crack pair. So we have 4, 5, let's see, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 crack. Since 2 5 dots are out, let's go for the concealed hand. I think we should.
Flower.
Nobody wants the flower, apparently. So let's let the flower go. So we're doing 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. We have joker bait here with a 5 bam. 3, 4 bam, 3, 4 dot, 5 crack pair.
Green, cold, 7.
Oh, and then the 5 comes in. What in the world? Why does that happen? I think we should, no, goodness, let's put them where they go. There's still potential there, even though we let that 5 go. That's disappointing. There are jokers up for grabs, but we'll see. At the moment, we have a discard, so we technically don't have to make a hand yet. Okay. Keeper. All right. I probably would go for 3, 4, 3, 4. No, we need that 4. The 5 dots are out. We're at 47 tiles. We should let this 5 bam go. Okay, here we go. Nobody wanted it. All right, we have 3 discards. We're in the end game. We probably should fold with 3 discards in the end game. 8 crack. A lot of our tiles are out. The 3s are not, though. The 4 bam is out. We'll need a joker, I believe, for the 4 bam. Oops, we don't want that. I almost clicked call. That's a pair for us. Oh, shoot. Okay. The player across from us had 3s. Okay, next game. So we have a red dragon, 1, 3, 8, 9 in bams, pair 3. 3, 7, 9 in cracks, pair 9. 1, 5, 8 in dots. We have 3s and 9s, but no 6. We do have 7, 8, 9, and we do have tiles to pass. So I would probably keep 3, 9, and then focus on 7, 8, 9. We can't keep it all. Either way, we didn't use the 5. So that's going to be a little bit risky. 1, 5. Let's see what happens. Let's see. You know what we do have in here, though? We have the first odd hand. 1, 3 bam, 5 dot, 7, 9. Let's let this 8 dot go. Okay, so we did pick up a 9 dot. Let's keep it and let the 8 go. So now we have all odds in here. There's a 9 crack pair. Here's a 7 bam and a 7 dot. Wow, we have all odds in here. Okay, so let's see here. We don't have any flowers, so I wouldn't consider playing the pair hand. Plus, we have a joker and a pung. I would consider the first hand under odds. Let's let the 3 go with the 7. And this, let's see, we have all the 9s. 1-3 bam, 5-dot pair, or pong, no, Kong, 5-dot Kong. Then pair 7, pair 3, 9 bam, 9-dot. We do have all the 9s. All right, we can't keep it all. We got to keep going here. All right, no keepers. So at this point, we do have tiles to pass. Let's keep the 9 because we may be able to play a like number hand if we get the 9 back. Oh, we got the 7. Excellent. Okay, so now let's see. We have 1, 3. We don't need any of these here. So let's do 7, 8, 9, I guess. It's a bit risky no matter how you slice it there. 1, 3 bam, 5-dot, 7, 9. We've got our pairs. No keepers. Okay, we're looking for 5 dots. 1 bam would be nice. Let's do 9, 3 with a 7. No keepers. Okay, and we're the dealer, so we have an extra tile. So I would say that we're a front runner on this one. We have only 3 discards and a hand with no gaps. It's a bit weak with the 1 bam and the 5. Really just one weakness with the 5 because we could use the joker to pung the 1. We already have the pairs and a pung of 9s. We just need help with that 5-dot. And we can use jokers. Oh, we got joker bait with a 4. Another 4. We've got 4s. A flower. Why? Let's see. That's not going to be helpful with what we have here at all. Let's see. 7, 9. The only way that would become helpful is if we get an 8 crack and 1 is already out. I would just let it go. Okay, here we go. 1 bam. I would just call it. We really don't need to call the first one out, but we have a hand with no gaps, so I would just call it. We have no discards other than this joker bait, so I think we can take the risk of losing it. We don't want that. Looks like nobody wants 1s. That's our tile. Our tile again. So we're going to need 2 jokers now. We can use jokers. That's why they're part of the game. There are 2 jokers up for grabs. Oh, there's 2 more. We get 1. We got 1. Woohoo! All right, we just need 1 more. 1 more joker. Oh, somebody got a joker. Okay, there's still 2 up for grabs. It's a race.
Red. 3. Red. 6 bam.
Oh,
6 dots. 8 crack.
okay.
East.
1 bam or 9 dot.
Crack.
Oh, there's 1 too. East. Okay, we need joker exchange tiles. Red. No. Oh, shoot. At least they didn't mahjong. Oh, there's 1. 7, 8, 9 double run. 4th hand down under consecutive run. We got 1 away. All right, now we have 3 jokers this time and a widespread. West, south, green, 2, 7, 8, 9 in bams, 3, 5, 9 in, or 3 crack, 5, 9 in dots. So here, 7, 8, 9 would be the predominant pattern. 7, 8, 9. It's on the edge, which is not ideal. We have the corresponding dragon and 3 tiles we can pass. That's not too bad. We might be able to use the west-south if winds come in. They did not. Okay, now this is going to be a little risky. 1, 3, 5. We do have that same stinking hand that we just played. 1, 3, dot, 5, crack, 7, 9, and bams. No multiples. All right, so let's let the winds go. 1, and I would just let the 5 and the 1 go. I'd focus on the run, streamline. Okay, so now we have 6 through 9. We did get a wind in here. Let's let the 3 go. Let's let the east go. And then this 9 bam. We have a hand in here with no gaps. 2 actually. The dragon hand, 5th one down under consecutive run. And the 2nd hand from the bottom on the left. Okay, so here's a 4. There is some 2, 4, 6, 8 developing there in one suit. Winds and dragons concealed, your 9s. Well, we did have some of that, Misty. However, I wanted to streamline with consecutive run because it's more efficient. There's a green dragon and our first multiple. Okay, so here's 7. We have a pair of green dragons and 6, 7, 8, 9, no gaps. And we have to pass 3. So we're going to pass 2 wins. Oh, there's a 5. We have an option. And tiles. I would not pass 2 wins here because we're kind of in between. And I would want to keep my options open 5 through 9. We're leveraging this pair of green dragons now. No keepers, so we can pass 3.
So,
okay, we have 3 discards in a hand with no gaps and an option, which is good. I'd say that we're a contender on this one. Until we get a multiple in here to help us pick our range, we're just going to gather.
so green.
That would be a Kong. We do have a hand with no gaps, so I would call it. And Kong. So at this point, we just need to wait and see which run to pick. All right. We have 3 discards, 2 discards. So we're playing the 5th hand down under consecutive runs. We don't know which number tiles we're going to use yet. We're looking for a deciding tile. We have joker bait. And a deciding tile. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Hand is actually set because we can use the jokers to pung the 7 and the 8. And then we'll be ready on the 6 unless we draw it, which would be ideal. So we have a joker exchange opportunity there. Would you consider 5th hand down concealed before you had done that Kong? Which category are you talking about, Misty? 5th hand down concealed. Which category? 5th hand down concealed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you mean the 5th hand down with the dragons and do it concealed? No, I would want to expedite hand development and get the joker, because if we didn't take the joker then, if we didn't take the dragon then and make the exposure, we would need another joker later. So I would rather take the dragon and make the exposure because we have no gaps for the rest of the hand. It's really, in my opinion, about having no gaps that allows you to take the risk and expedite hand development. I hope that helps. And I hope that's what you meant. You said to do it concealed. I would rather expedite because we have another it looks like we have another front runner, the player across from us. And if we're gonna take any kind of lead, we have to push. So 7 crack was discarded and nobody wanted it. Our weakness is the 6 bam at the moment. That's a pair for us. Oh, okay, no worries, Misty. That's not for us. For a 6 bam would be the ideal tile, because that would be our that's our weakness. Okay, so I would call. We're gonna pump. We're at 52 tiles. We're still in the middle game, actually. Nobody wants the red, apparently. Oh, they got it. 1, 2, north, south. We got one away. We came a long way there. Someone has our 6s over here to the left. Our other 6 is in the wall. All right, let's see what we have now. We have a pair of 3 dots. So we have jokers, east, south, singles, red, white, 3 bam, 4, 5, 9 in cracks, 3.5 in dots. I would focus on 3s. No 6, so I would not play 3, 6, 9. I would focus on 3s, maybe dragons. And we do have a run in here, a little bit, 3, 4, 5 of some kind. So I would probably pass a wind, but then I would let something in here go. 3, 5, 4, 5. I think I would let the 5 dot go and see about maybe playing like numbers with 3s and dragons. Well, now we get a 6 after we give up the 9. So that's not helpful. We have 3 dot pair, 3 bam, 4, 5 dragons. We're in between 3, 4, 5 of some kind or like numbers with 3s. Really, these wins are not helpful at the moment. Okay, so now we're back. Oh, there's a dragon. Okay, so let's keep going with it. We could really use a 3 crack in here. There is a 4. We do have a 1, 3, 5 in there now. So we're going to keep going. The 6 can go. We have 1, 3 bam, 3 dot pair, 5 crack, some 1, 3, 5. But consecutive run is far more flexible. We also have potential for like numbers. So I would probably let the 5 crack go and focus on 3s, even though it's a gap. We're playing a gap hand. Okay, now here we have 3, 4, 3, 4. Let's see what happens there. 5, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 5, not helpful at all. Okay, so there, 3, 4, 3, 4, wrong 5. We're going to the right. We could pass blind. The 4s I don't think are helpful at the moment. Without a 5 crack for the concealed hand, I would rather focus on, let's see here, 1, 3. We do have 1, 3, 3, 5, no gaps right there. 1, 3 dot, 3, 5 bam. It's weak. We also have a pair of dragons and a dragon. No 3 crack though, which is a gap. So what I would probably do here is pass 1 blind. And we now have 3 tiles to pass, so we can get a little more here. We got a 3 dot and a 1 bam. All right, so we have either little odds or, let's see, little odds. We even have that dragon hand, second one from the bottom. Let's see, it would be in this case 1, 3 dot, 3, 5 bam, red dragon Kong. But it's pretty weak. I would ignore that. I I think if we were to get a 3 crack, I think it would be good for us to play maybe like numbers, but we have an extra 3 dot. Even if we play that like number or the little odd hand second from the bottom, the dragon hand, we would have an extra tile. Let's see, 1 3 dot. I think here, because our hand is weak, I would wait. 1 3 3 5 1 dot. We do have a hand with no gaps, and we could, let's see here, our only weakness there would be the 1 dot. 1 3 3 5. Let's ignore that once. 6 crack. We don't need.
5 point.
Okay, we need a. Someone got. Okay, there goes a 1 bam. Second 1 bam. I was thinking that would be an option. We could do 1 bam 3 pair, and then with a 5 dot if it came in, use the 3 dot pung with a 5 dot pung and then a Kong or red. But that would be building around a gap, and that's not ideal. So there's 2 1 bams out. It can still be an option, but it is weak. Here's a flower. Let's let the 8 go. Oh shoot, we could have done an exchange. Darn it. Okay. All right, let's take it. All right, now we have 2 dragons here. 3 bam. Okay, let's let the 1 bam go. So we can still do like numbers with 3s and use the jokers for the 3 crack. Oh, no. That would be a pair gap. That's not good. We would need the green dragon because our gap would have to be a pair. A pair gap is not good. I think what I would do here is play little odds with 1 3 5 and let this 3 dot go. Kong the reds and then use these jokers to help us get the 3 5 in bams. And our vulnerability right now is the 1 dot. So pair, pung, Kong, 1 3 5. Second hand from the bottom on the left. There's our 1. There goes a 3 crack. But we're good now. We're set for the little odd hand. There's a 3 bam. So we have everything we need now. Don't need flowers. We don't really even need joker exchange. All right. We are ready on a triple weight. 3 bam, 5 bam, or red dragon will give us a win. We need a red dragon, 3 5 bam. That goes so fast. Okay, we're gonna let that go. Oh darn. Oh, well, we didn't throw it. Okay, so they have our 3 bam. Darn it, we got ready to win on that one. So they have multiplication 15, third hand from the bottom on the left. We worked hard on that one. Okay, now we have 7 8 paired up. 7 8. So let's let the 2, the 1, and the red go. We have 7 8 2 ways. There's 7 8 9 2 ways. That would be maybe the 4th hand down. Let's pass the east with a 1 and a 3. Okay, we really don't need a 5. A 6 would be a nice tile for us. Okay, there's a 5 again. We're going to keep going. We have 5 through 9, no 6s. There's a 6 up there, but really what we want is the 6 bam or 6 dot. Oh, there's 5. Okay, we can let the 5 dot go. That's not helpful at all. 8, we got an 8. So we have 7, 8 bams, pung, pair pung. Then we have a 7, 8 in dots with a 9, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8. What would be ideal here is either a 6 bam, but that would mean the 8 bam is too big. We'd need a pair for the first hand. I think I would let the 5 go. And maybe think about the concealed hand or the 4th hand down. Okay, well, let's see if we can get something out of the east. Oh, look at there. Let's let the 5 go. This 5 bam, I think, can go to. We have 7, 8, 7, 8. A 9 crack would be awesome. Then we could play the concealed hand. But also, if we get 6s in these suits, we would be able to play the 4th hand down. So right now, we're playing a gap hand. There's the 9 crack. So now we're not playing a gap hand. I think what I would do here is let the 9s go and see about maybe getting 6s or play the concealed hand. We do not need a pung of 8 of east. A pung of east, that's not helpful without a west, and there's a west out. We definitely don't need that. Nobody wanted the east, so we'll let these other tiles go, the 9s. Wait a minute. What about the pair hand? 998 pair hand. 1, 2, 3. Third hand down on the right. Look, we got the 9. Well, let's just keep going. We need a 9 crack and an 8. Let's see here. Let's put it in order based on the card. We have an extra 8 bam. So we'd need 998 in cracks, 99887 in dots. We need a 9-8 crack, 9 dot, extra 7, or extra 8. Oh, that's kind of what I was hoping for. Now we can do 6, 7, 8 double run, 4th hand down, 9 crack. That's our tile. We're not ready, or we really can't call it anyway. Joker exchange. Let this pair hand go. Let's see. So we're at 7. Let's resort. 7, 8, 9, single pair Kong, or 6, 7, 8. We don't have a 6 bam. We could also maybe do 7, 8, 7, 8, 9 concealed. So let's let the 9 dot go. So we are in between 7, 8 bam, 7, 8 dot, 9 crack pair. The 9 bam would be joker bait. Or we could do 6, 7, 8 double run. We have no 6 bam though. And the 7 dot is weak. There's 1 6 bam out. That would be our pair tile. Okay, we have pure pungs to the left, 4-4. So they must be doing either third hand from the bottom under consecutive run or like numbers with 4s. We got a 9 bam. Let's see here. 7, 8, 9. Oh, shoot. Okay, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9 double run. We let the 9 dot go. 6 dot. Let's let that go. Okay. That's the second one. So what I'm thinking now is we should play pung pung kong kong in one suit gap hand. Use the joker for the 6. Oh my goodness! And now there's the 7 or the 8. Oh, geez. Oh, maybe we can use this for the 9 dot. We have extra 8s though. All right, let the 9 go. This was a crazy hand here. All right. So they're playing like numbers with 4s. That was wacky. All right, let's go again. We can play one more. Okay, we have 2 multiples, 4 bam or 4 crack, 6 bam. 2 multiples right there. 4 crack and a 6 bam. How can we use both of them? We can use both of them with 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't need the 1. We don't need the 9. We have 4, 6. We do have 2, 4, some 2, 4, 6, 8 in here. But we're left with like numbers with 7s. Let's see here. Let's let the 7 crack go. So we have 6, 7 in bams, 4 crack, 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, let's see what happens. We got a 6 crack and an 8 bam, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4. All right, we need to just reassess here. We have 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 in cracks, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 in bams, 6 dot, and a white dragon. Let's see, we could let's see, we have 4 crack pair and a 6 bam pair. I think what we should do is let the 2, the 3, and maybe the 6 go. We could still do 3, 4, 5, 6. If a 5 comes in, 5 bam, let's say, we could maybe still do 4, 5, 6, 7, or 2, 4, 6, 8. This 2 we should probably keep. Let's let the white dragon go. Okay, we got a 7 bam. There's a new multiple now. 6, 7, 4 crack. We can let the 1 go with the 5 dot. With a 6, 7 paired up, I would give up on evens. There's a 4. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Okay, Joe, stop the Charleston. So we're gonna decline. Our opponent across from us stopped the Charleston. Okay, so we have some kind of 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just going to see how this goes.
1, 2,
There's a 2 dot. We still do have a little bit of potential for evens. Oh, well, there we go. 5 crack, filled a gap. We have 4, 5 crack, 6, 7 bam, 3 multiples. That's probably what I'd focus on. We're not ready to call yet. East is out.
7, flower, 3,
Oh, we don't need a north.
5,
Let's see. Probably that 3 crack would be our next discard. Maybe the 8s.
7, 7, crack,
That's our tile. Shoot. It would be ideal to get a 5 bam because then we can give up on the 5 crack. At the moment, we're going to need a joker. And we have a pure pung out. Okay, 4 bam. Let's let the 3 crack go. We have 4, 6, 7, 8. 4, 6, 7. We would do really well if we could get a 5 bam. So I think the 8 crack will go next. That's kind of crazy. A 3 bam. 3, 4, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. That's not a hand. Okay, pungs of 9s. 5 bam just went down. A flower. A flower. A flower. We got a flower out. 7, 3, 4, 7. You know what? We do have a hand in here. Addition. 3, 4, 7. 3 bam, 4 bam, 7. Use the maybe the 4 crack and the 6 bam as joker bait. I think I would probably let that 8 bam go next. Let's just see what happens here. We're an underdog on this one. Oh, there's a 3. That's a keeper. I would focus on addition, I think, even though it's not my favorite. It's very inflexible. But our tiles are going down. No. There goes the 5 crack. A flower. All right. I would stick with it here. Well, it looks like nobody. Oh, there's a keeper. Looks like nobody wants 4s.
7. 1 dot.
Joker exchange. And I would take it. We're set now. We just bumped up to a contender, I'd say. Okay, nobody wanted. Somebody got a joker. Oh, over here across from us. There's a joker. Okay, 1 crack. East, west, they don't need a 1. 8 crack. I don't think 8 with 9s up there, they don't need that. That's ours. Kong. Joker. Awesome. We're ready on a 3 or a 4. Oh, shoot. Oh my gosh. Look, we came so close to that stinking addition hand. Lucky 7. Not. All right. That's going to do it for this live stream. Oh, those robots. Goodness. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. It was fun. It was challenging. We had some crazy hands. All good. Any mahjong is good mahjong. Win or lose, because you learn. That quote by Nelson Mandela always comes to mind. I never lose. I either win or I learn. I love that quote. And it's applicable for today. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the interaction. I appreciate that during these live streams when we do these presentations, and I can get feedback from you to help improve them and also answer questions. So the whole idea here is to comment so that we can interact live. What is the owl a symbol of? The owl symbolizes wisdom, awareness, alertness. And well, I think I have it on my website. Hold on. The owl, his name is Kiko. That's that's his name. Okay, now why am I not able to get to my website? home about. Here it is. Owls are considered to be one of the most mysterious of all birds. They blend in with their surroundings and silently watch with their all-knowing eyes. Owl symbolism and meanings include knowledge, wisdom, intuition, independent thinking, and observant listening, all traits of a skilled mahjong player. The connection for mahjong fanatics is that in some sets, the design of the one bamboo tile is adorned with an owl. The MAHJLIFE owl's given name is Kiko, which means hope in Japanese. I hope that answers your question. Is that what you're talking about? The owl? Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you again for being here during this live stream. Thank you for watching my videos and for sharing about MAHJLIFE. You're making sure? Just making sure? Okay. We'll be back again at 4. And the next live stream at 4, we're going to do rules not in Mahjong made easy. So even if you are a beginner, come back if you can, because we're going to talk about rules that are not in the rule book. If you don't have Mahjong made easy, you may not even be aware of some of these rules at all. And this will be a really good way to make sure that you know all the rules of the game. So we'll be back again in an hour for Nitty-Gritty Prime Time. And we'll go through those rules not in Mahjong made easy, and then we'll play Mahjong. Gameplay with commentary. You're welcome. You're welcome, Yolanda. Thank you for being here. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.